A distributor needs to mix some Rift Valley coffee that normally sells for $8.60 per pound with some organic free trade coffee that normally sells for $14.10 per pound to create 100 pounds of a mix that can sell for $11.13 per pound. How many pounds of each kind of coffee should they mix? Okay, so this is a mixture problem, clearly. And so how do we handle a mixture problem? Well, I'm going to do pretty much the traditional mixture problem method. And here it is. You make three buckets or beakers, because you're adding two buckets or beakers together to equal the final product. So, okay, and so what we're going to do is we're going to put in the bottom the dollars. Is that right? Yeah. Let me write that a little bit better. The dollars or the percentages go in the bottom, and in the top goes the amount. So I'm going to go through and put the dollars or percentages. The first one is $8.60 per pound. So this is $8.60 per pound. The next one is $14.10 per pound. And the final product is $11.13. This one right here is the mix. This first one is the Rift Valley coffee. The second one is the organic free trade. I'll just call it the free trade. Free trade coffee. And again, the final one is the mix. Okay, so that makes sense. First off, we're not done yet, obviously, but I just want to make sure it's making sense so far how we're setting this up. So I'm thinking about, we're mixing together. We have it's like we have a bucket of Rift Valley coffee. We're adding to a bucket of free trade coffee to equal a mix of the two coffees. That's what we're doing. We're combining some Rift Valley coffee, some free trade coffee to get a mixture of the two. That's what you always obviously do in a mixture problem. You combine two things to make a mixture. Okay. So how much is it? Well, and you put the dollars, or in some of the problems we'll be doing percentages. Like some of them we'll mix an acid, 20% acid solution with another 30% acid solution, or 50% alcohol solution with a 40% alcohol solution, or we'll mix a 90% salt solution with an 80% salt solution, right? So we're gonna have percentages in some of the mixture problems. In this one, we have dollars because, it's all about money in this one. The Rift Valley coffee is $8.60 per pound, and the free trade coffee is $14.10 per pound. And the mixture, they want the mixture. Notice the mixture is between $11.13 because you're mixing more. The free trade is more expensive coffee, $14.10 per pound, and the Rift Valley is cheaper, $8.60 per pound, to come up with a mix that's somewhere between them. The final mix is, it's the expensive stuff mixed with the cheap stuff. So the final price on the mix is a somewhere in between. You always want this number. Here's a good double check. You always want this number here. This number must be between the other two, right? Because it's the mix. The mix is, the stronger and the weaker, the higher price and the lower price, expensive and cheap coffee mixed together. And so the mix has got to be kind of an in-between price, an intermediate price. All right, let's get back to it. Now, what do we put on the top? Well, the amount. Well, we don't know the amount, right? So we'll just call this R for however much Rift Valley coffee. I have no idea. F for how much free trade coffee. I don't know. Is there any other numbers up there in the problem? I have. Oh, yeah. Listen, 100 pounds of the mix. So that goes up here. Because remember, we're putting the amounts in the top. I don't know how much Rift Valley coffee. I don't know how much free trade coffee, but I know there's 100 pounds of the mix. We're trying to create 100 pounds of the mix. Okay. So we've got our little setup. So a beaker of Rift Valley coffee, or a bucket plus a bucket of free trade coffee, is going to be combined together to make 100 pounds of a mix that sells for $11.13 per pound. Expensive coffee, cheap coffee, combines together to sell for a price that's a mixed price. Okay, so what do we do now? How are we going to get our equations? Well, so the first equation just comes from the tops. So I'm just going to literally just grab the tops. R plus F is 100. So what I did there is went top, right across, just the tops. So the first, because we need. So I haven't written equation. This is just my picture. This is not yet equations. I need to turn this picture into two equations. How do I know I need two? Because I got two letters. You have two letters, you need two equations. So that picture becomes a first equation, top, right across the top, top. And then the second equation comes from multiplying top and bottom. Now you might have thought, well, it's just, just the bottoms, but it can't be just the bottoms because those are just numbers. We don't even have any letters involved. No, the second equation is multiply top and bottom, multiply top and bottom, multiply top and bottom. So that's going to make it 8.60 R plus, so I multiply these two, 1410 F equals, and then multiply these two. 100 times 11.13. Is that making sense? So again, the first equation is just right across the top. That's right here. The second equation comes from multiply. Multiply top and bottom, multiply top and bottom, multiply top and bottom, even on the right side. Multiply top and bottom. Okay. Now, I want to make sure that I don't want that just to be some math trick that Mr. Heron says or the book says or whatever. Why is that true? The first equation is total amount. So let me write that for you, just so you know. I want you to see what this is. The first equation is just total amount, right? So when you're mixing two things together, whatever comes out of the first bucket, however much coffee, say there's 10 pounds of Rift coffee and 15 pounds of free trade coffee. That's F, whatever it is. We just don't know R and F right now. We're going to find R and F at the end. What if Rift coffee ends up being 10 pounds and Free Valley coffee or whatever, free trade coffee ends up being 15 pounds? Then that's going to be 25 pounds total. Well, it can't be, because it's got to be 100 pounds. So I don't know, maybe this is 60 pounds and this is 40. I don't know. They have to add it to be 100. My point is the first equation is just adding up total amount of coffee. However much coffee is in the first bucket plus however much coffee in the second bucket has to equal 100 pounds total of coffee. So that makes sense. What about the second? Why are we multiplying? What's that about? That's about the price, right? If the Rift coffee is $8.60 per pound, then however many pounds are times $8.60 per pound plus however many pounds of free trade coffee, F times $14.10 per pound, equals the total money that the whole mix is worth, which is 100 pounds of mixed coffee worth $11.13 per pound. So that's the total monetary value. Do you see that? Total, that's why the second, I'm just giving you the reason why it's true. That's all I'm doing right now. I'm just saying, why is this right? Why is this true? Because the second equation is all about total money. The total monetary value of the Rift Valley coffee we're throwing in the mix is $8.60 per pound times however many pounds of it, which we don't yet know, call it R, plus $14.10 per pound times F, the number of pounds of free trade coffee, equals 100 pounds times 11.13 per pound. All right, so we have our two equations with two letters, right? Two equations, two letters. So you know what to do. Take the first equation and get R alone. I'm going to subtract F from both sides there, like that. This cancels. And I get down over here. R equals 100 minus F right here. You tracking with me? So take the first equation and get one of the letters alone. Really doesn't matter which one. You get R alone or F alone. Doesn't matter at all. I got R alone. And then grab that and plug that in for R right there. So get one letter alone in the first equation and plug it into the second. And so what do we then get? We get 8.60 times, and what is R? 100 minus F. See that right there? I plugged in for R, 100 minus F, plus 1410 F equals, and these guys just multiply them on your calculator. Multiplying by 100 just moves the decimal 2 places. It'll just end up being that with the decimals at the end now. It just went 1, 2 to the right. Because you multiply by 100, which has 2 zeros. Anyway, you don't need to know all that. Just use your calculator, hit the buttons. Okay, and now let's distribute. Boom, boom. This 8.60 times 100. Again, it'll move the decimal 2 places. 860 minus 8.60 F plus 1410 F, just bring that down, equals 1113. How we doing? We good to there? Now, 1410 F, take away 860 F. What is that? So bring down the 860. Use your calculator. Let me see, it's going to be, I don't know, 6, 5 plus, I can't do it. Let me use my calculator. 14.10 minus 8.60. I'm getting 5.5. Equals 1113. All right. Let's subtract 860 like so. Boom and a boom. 5.5 F equals, subtract that. And I'm getting 253. Like that. And last step to solve for F. Divide by 5.5. Boom, boom. F equals 46. So 46, what does that mean then? That's 46 pounds of the free trade coffee. So I come up here and put that answer in right there. 46 pounds of the free trade. That's why it's nice if you have, instead of using X and Y, I'm using F and T. I know what it is right away. F is free trade coffee. 46 pounds of free trade coffee. Now, I got to also find how much Rift Valley coffee. How's that? How we do that? Well, it said we're making 100 pounds of the mix altogether. So just subtract from 100, right? Just take 100 minus 40, because 100 is the total, minus 46 for the free trade. Subtract that in your calculator, you're going to get 54 for the other one, the Rift Valley. Rift Valley. 54 for the Rift Valley, pounds of the Rift Valley type. Just subtract from the total. So there we go. That's how we do a mixture problem. So again, we start with the 3 buckets. First bucket plus second bucket to equal the final mix. And you put the percentages, or in this case, dollar values on the bottom. Right across the bottom, put the money. And across the top, put the amounts. And we don't know R and F, Rift Valley, and free trade, but we know the mix amount they told us 100 pounds of the mix is our goal. We want to make 100 pounds of the mix. So to make the 100 pounds of the mix that comes out just the right price, right? You get the expensive free trade coffee at $14.10 per pound, the cheap Rift Valley at $8.60 per pound. You want to mix them to make a 100-pound mix that comes out just at the right price at $11.13 per pound. So when you have 2 letters, you need 2 equations. The first equation is top, 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 R plus F is 100. That's just adding up total amount of coffee. And the second equation is found by multiplying top mugs. You multiply top mugs, that gives you money, right? 860 times R, that's how much all the Rift Valley coffee is worth. R pounds of coffee times 860 per pound, and then F pounds of free trade coffee times 1410 per pound adds up to be the total monetary value of the mix. 100 pounds of coffee at 1113 per pound. Get your two, so then you take your first equation, get R alone, plug it into the second equation, distribute, combine like terms right there. Right, I don't know if that was clear what I did, right? These two right here, combine to be that. And solve for F. Once you get F, subtract from 100 to get the other one. So there it is. There's our mixture problem.